And then the goal for next month, I would put my goals down there, and maybe it's only 5 kilos here or 2 kilos here, but if you do this every month, at the end of the year, you can have a huge gain. So every month I set myself goals that were reasonable and achievable, and then I had a goal for the end of the year. For me, it was usually a competition, but it doesn't have to be that. So I think it's important to learn to set goals and also to visualize positive things before you come to the gym. I used to sit down and imagine my workout, what I'm going to do in the gym, what exercises I'm going to do, how hard I'm going to push, how many reps I want to get. And even I had things like on certain days I would wear certain shirts or certain pants in the gym. It's all little psychological things. And all these can go over into the rest of your life as well. You know, if you have a business, it's the same thing. You have to have goals, you have to have targets, you have to have things that you've got to meet, that you've got to push for. So I think I learned a lot, positive attitude from bodybuilding, for sure. The last week, first of all, anything you do in the last week is like a polish, you know. It's like you have this car, this beautiful car, and then it's already finished, but you just have to polish it a little bit. So in other words, if you're not in very good shape 1 or 2 weeks before the competition, there is no magic that's going to get you into shape. It's just basically water manipulation so that you're coming onto stage with a very dry look. So you already have to be in shape, you already have to have very, very low body fat. Having said that, the process in the last week was basically 3 days of low or reduced carbohydrate intake along with increased volume training. So more sets and more reps to deplete the carbohydrates or glycogen that's stored inside the muscle. The idea behind that is when you put them back, your body's going to overcompensate and store more carbohydrates, glycogen in the muscle, which attracts more water, going to give you a fuller look in the muscle, more water inside the muscle, less water underneath the skin, which blurs your definition. So I would not go to 0 carbohydrates or anything very extreme like that. I would cut them by about 50%. So let's say 2 weeks before the competition, for argument's sake, you're taking in 300 grams of carbohydrate a day. What I would do during the low carb phase on the last week, I would drop by 50%. So say 150 grams. And it would increase the training, the volumes, the sets, and so on. But also would increase the fat and protein a little bit, because you're already on a calorie-reduced diet, and then you're dropping another 150 grams of carbohydrates, which is another 600 calories. You may be going too low and start burning muscle. So to replace the calories from the carbohydrates that have been lost, I would increase with protein and fat, so the calorie level remains the same, just a different balance. And then 3 days before the competition, I wouldn't be doing any training apart from posing practice, and that's when I do the carbohydrate loading phase. And I think it makes a lot more sense, and what I used to do is the first day and the second day of carbohydrate loading are the really high days, because your body is crying out for the carbohydrates. And also what people used to do is carb up towards the contest, so take more and more, and the day before the contest stuffing themselves with carbohydrates. What happens with this, if you take too much, your body releases too much insulin and you start retaining water under the skin. So to avoid that, I took the most carbohydrates on the first and second day, and then the day before the competition I could manipulate whatever way I wanted. If I was still flat, I could take in more carbohydrates and water. If I was looking very good and very full, I would drop the carbs again, going lower carbohydrates, more protein and more fat to have the last little bit of diuretic effect. If you want me to give you numbers, for me, I probably always done 400 grams of carbohydrate 2 weeks out. I would drop down to 200, maybe 150 on a low phase. For carbohydrate loading, I've been to around 12 to 1400 grams of carbohydrates on the first day, and maybe the second day, and then the third day I taper it down, and the last couple of meals on the evening before the competition are just protein and fat, like a steak, maybe with some asparagus. It's a vegetable, but it's also a diuretic. A couple of glasses of wine is also a diuretic, and I would drink a lot of water up until the afternoon, early evening, the day before the competition, and then I wouldn't drink anything at all. So the next day I would be obviously slightly dehydrated, but I would have good storage in the muscle.